All right. So, quick introductions here. This is our Vantage product release webinar. Basically, we implemented this new series starting last month. Last month was kind of a recap of all of 2025, but going forward, the what this series will cover is all of our new product releases within our Cork platform Vantage from the last month. So, our engineering team, our product team has been doing such an amazing job releasing new features. We want to make sure that our partners aren't missing out on anything. So, we'll be hosting these typically the first Wednesday of every month. This month, we shifted to the second Wednesday to accommodate for Rite of Boom last week. Just didn't want anyone to miss out if they were there. Our team was there as well. So, look out for these to be the first Wednesday of every month at this same time. We'll always send out the registration link ahead of time as well. But it's just a good way for you to stay up to date on everything that's come out, making sure you really know how to use these new features, what's going on in the platform, and also give you a chance to ask any questions. We really want this to be interactive. It's for you, our partners. So please throw your questions in the chat and or the Q&A, and we will make sure we get to them. So, quick introductions. I'm Zoe, our partner success manager. Hopefully, I've met all of you, and if not, then it's a pleasure to meet you. We also have Brandon, our senior solutions engineer, and Marcus, our technical director of engineering, on the call with us today. So, they're going to go into a deep dive on everything we released last month. Quick look at the agenda and then I will let them get into it. So, last month we did have one really, really major release that we're super excited to show you today, and that was our Cork Cyber Score. You may have seen it's actually already live in the platform. So, if you've seen that and kind of curious, what is this? How can I use this with my clients? That's what we're going to get into today. And then we do have some new integrations that were added and some platform improvements that we'll show you as well. Anytime you can go to help.corkinc.com. First of all, we have so many amazing KB articles, how-tos, things there that you should definitely check out. But we also have all of our release notes within that help website. So you can go there, view the release notes for each month and kind of follow along just to make sure that you're not missing anything. And then we'll also have a recording or copy of this recording on our YouTube page. So if you ever miss a month and want to see what's new, you can go ahead and check those out as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandon and Marcus now and let you guys dive in.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to kind of take the first leg here, and what I'm going to cover is I'm going to share my screen out here in a second, and we're going to go over kind of the newest big feature that we have, which is the Cork Cyber Score. And we're looking for feedback on it, of course, but I think you guys will like how easy it is to make a representation of a client's security posture at this point. And once I kind of go through the features and how it works, what influences that score, I'm going to pass it over to Marcus, and he can do a little bit of a deeper dive behind the ethos of the Cork Score itself. So let me get my screen set up to share here and go here. And there. And can I get a thumbs up? Let me know that it's good. Cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So where the Cork Score is located is if you log into your Cork Vantage dashboard and you go to your Clients tab, it will be live now for any one of your clients underneath active or eligible for that. And I'm going to click at a Death Star here just to kind of show that as an example. But you should see it at the very top here. It's a flipboard style kind of layout here. And the score represents the overall security posture of that particular client as indicated by the data that the Cork platform can observe. So the idea here is that it's actually influenced by four different categories, which you can see down here. So we have controls, vulnerabilities, compliance, and claims. And the first category of controls actually refers to the connection statuses that you see over here on the right-hand side. So a good way to influence the score is just to simply have your tools connected so that we can see that they are active and live inside the environment. The first four controls we kind of call core controls inside of our KBs and whatnot. So if you see that verbiage, that's what that's referring to. But the first four, RMM, EDR, MFA, and BCDR, are actually going to have a more significant impact on the score itself, as opposed to the other back four categories over here. These still have an impact on the score, so it is always beneficial to connect them just to make sure they're in place. But the first four are more heavily weighted in terms of the scoring. And then email, we actually left out of the scoring just simply because it has a lot of overlap between things like MFA and email security. So that one's kind of taken out of the equation. But yeah, you can drastically increase your score just simply by hooking up all of the tools and making sure they're good to go. So the next big one is actually going to be the vulnerabilities, which is right here. And this was a feature that we introduced a couple months ago. But if I scroll to the very bottom of the client tab itself, I will see software vulnerabilities. It's still in beta. We're still kind of working out how we want to organize this information, what features we want to include, reporting, etc., all of those fun things. But the idea is that if you remediate your software vulnerabilities, your score will go up. So that one is about as cut and dry as it can get. The influence of that or the weight of these particular software vulnerabilities as well, in that higher priority ones will have a greater weight associated with them. So the longer that like a critical vulnerability sits will be more detrimental to the score than something like a routine vulnerability, and either one of these can be remediated by just doing a simple patching procedure. So, but that would be kind of the two biggest categories that go into the score itself. The score is based out of 1,000. It's a little bit like kind of Credit Karma. We don't really want to compare it directly to a FICO score because it's not somewhat arbitrary like a FICO score is. It's more about just doing proper things inside the environment, and you are then rewarded for having proper security posture, maintaining, good security practices throughout the environment. So the next category would be compliance. And compliance specifically refers to the compliance issues that we see down here. So anytime these are remediated within, a good time frame, they will not affect the score at all. Of course, the more issues that appear and the longer that they stay inside the platform, that will start to bring down that score a little bit, and the score will jump right back up if, those issues are remediated or if that particular endpoint is silenced, and then thus kind of takes that compliance issue out of the equation because it won't be in the platform anymore. The final one, of course, is going to be the claims that you see here. It's kind of based on like a scale of 0 to 1. So if you have a claim, it's a 1, which, technically is a negative. But then as years pass, where that particular client does not have any incidents against them, that score will gradually rise back up. But this is actually the least impactful to the Cork score because we didn't want people to be punished for having to, do what was needed to do, or a lapse in security somewhere that wasn't necessarily the MSP's fault or anything like that. So it does have an impact, but it's the least significant of the four major categories here. Some of the other things that we've kind of included in the Cork Cyber Score as well are these little graphs over here on the right-hand side. And these actually just mark changes over time for these particular things that we're looking for. So compliance events is actually just looking literally at the number of events as time goes on. So you can see on 2.4 there were 7 events, but on 2.7 there was 1 event, so that obviously lowered a bunch. And same thing with devices. We're looking for making sure that any devices in the platform are also active, or at least kept up to date. And this kind of shows the difference between a device that's sitting in the platform that's inactive and the device that would be sitting in the platform that is active. So up until this point, we didn't have this would kind of indicate that there are rogue devices out there or orphan devices that could negatively impact the score because they may have compliance issues, they may have software vulnerabilities, but those issues could be, or those endpoints could be completely decommissioned from that particular client, that particular product. So it's more just to encourage making sure that not only is the Cork environment clean, but the products that the Cork environment is pulling information from are also clean. Because so much about it, weak security posture is just making sure that like rogue, like I said before, overhead assets that are out there that people don't know about. And this is kind of an indicator of like the cleanup process of that over time. And then the final one here for users is literally just how many users are part of that domain. So if you have 9 inboxes, you should see 9 users. If you have 20 inboxes, you should see 20. And it's a way to kind of keep tabs on that as well, to kind of track new inboxes that kind of come in, new hires, et cetera, people leaving, all of those factors kind of come into play. So this, like I said, is live for every single client. We're going to add a couple more features down the pipeline, including we want to do some simulation stuff where, if you click on a particular category and then you solve those issues, what would your score be if those issues were resolved? We're also going to, at some point, work this into reporting as well, because it's just a super easy way to represent the overall security health of the platform and of the particular environment, right? So the idea is that the higher the score, the better it is, and that's a real easy metric to understand there. So,
I just want to take a quick pause because I think you actually kind of segued perfectly into Rick's question. And
mhm.
Rick asked, can this be hidden from the client's report or can this option be disabled?
Gotcha. Yeah. So right now, like it does not appear in the client's report as Marcus pointed out, but it is visible with anybody that has like admin access to the platform. So that would be you guys as the MSP, but it is inherently not visible to the customers unless you took a screenshot of it in its current form and sent it to them. So cool. Yeah, good
Thank
question.
you.
Let's see here. And I think as far as like the actual functionality of the Cork score goes, like that's about it. We do have articles on like that we go kind of into deeper detail about what we call like cure periods and buckets in terms of weight, right? So what I mean by that is that the compliance issues are going to have set time periods where if it sits for like 0 to 7 days, it's going to wait like some amount. If it sits from 7 to 30 days, it's going to weigh more, 30 to 90, et cetera. It keeps on weighing more as time goes on. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, all of that information is available in our help desk articles, and we'll be sure to link those to you guys in actually, I think we can link them in the chat here. So I'll be sure to get that done. Is there any more? Let me check the chat here to make sure there's any more questions. It says coverage pause and advice, and we file a claim related to that. Is coverage denied? No, not by default. So I will say this about kind of the benefit of Cork is that it's not an automated process for a claim against a particular client. Like we actually get on the phone with you, we talk to you, we kind of look at all the aspects of it, but no, the immediate assumption is that you will be covered. And we kind of do, that's why we kind of offer immediate payouts with some things like, the card that can be generated for immediate funds. We want people to take a look at these things and not just kind of be automated like, some back end algorithm that determines yes or no without kind of weighing in all the variables. So it does not necessarily, or it doesn't generate an immediate no. Is there any other questions here? It does not.
That's all I'm seeing for now.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. With that, I will actually pass it over to Marcus. He's kind of the brainchild behind this, and he'll be able to kind of explore a little bit more about the ideas behind it and what we were trying to accomplish. So, Marcus, I will pass it to you.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. The whole goal of the Cork Cyber Score was really to just quantify risk in a way that allows you to shape the environment. You have an influence over it. So all the controls that Brandon pointed out are things that generally the MSP can control for their client, right? So whether that's adding more security controls, whether that's resolving those compliance events, doing regular patching to reduce the number of software vulnerabilities. And claims goes away over time, right? So if you had a claim last year, it has less of an impact as it would if it was open today. And on the same boat with claims is like the longer you have our financial protection product for that client and the longer you don't have to submit a claim, you actually get like a credit back towards that score. So if any other part of the score would reduce it, having no claims history for some amount of time would actually increase the score, even if you had negatives elsewhere. And going to the controls one, that's a really important one to understand. Brandon pointed out that there's that core set of controls, and then there's that secondary bucket, which are just as important but have less of an impact on the score itself. And it's also based on the percentage of them being covered, right? So if you have 50 endpoints and you have RMM and EDR connected, the best way to keep that score from going down is to make sure that those controls are installed and active on each of those endpoints. So you'd want to see 50 endpoints in RMM and the same 50 endpoints in EDR. And same goes for like the inbox related ones, MFA and email security, right? We want to see that those controls are covered on those users and inboxes. And recently over the summer we added the SaaS backup control, and we've already added like 5 or 6 different integrations on that, and that has significantly allows you to reduce like incident response and data recovery costs. So that's why it's part of the Cork Cyber Score as well. And then touching on the software vulnerabilities, you know, that can lead to so many different things, right? It could lead to ransomware, it could lead to data loss, all those kinds of things. But if you have a backup product in place, your recovery time is lessened because of those. So having backup in place for that specific endpoint who might have, a larger amount of vulnerabilities actually reduces the impact that it has on the Cork score. That's because the recovery time, is shortened. You're more likely to get that customer back up and running quickly. And there's going to be purposes where we can use this Cork Cyber Score in other facets. Right now, it's purely informational. It can be consumed in the platform or through the API right now. It's not on any report, because we have those gap analysis, we have the compliance summary reports. It's not included on that. So if you are sharing those with your clients today, they're not going to see a Cork Cyber Score on those reports. But over time, like Brandon said, we're going to have those reports available for you to give you a high level view of the Cork score across all of your clients. And there's, like I said, we're going to push this out and try to do other things with it. But Cork's sort of philosophy is give you the information up front, make sure you understand it, and then we find ways where you can actually capitalize it on separately. And that's sort of been true for every sort of product release that we've done. So the software vulnerabilities that we've added, right? The first phase of that was just surfacing them. There's no impact right away. But over time, now the Cork Cyber Score consumes those software vulnerabilities and now it has some sort of, tangible effect. And going down that software vulnerability route, the next phase that we're trying to push into is remediation, right? So right now you'll see there's like guided steps on, if you just upgrade the latest version of, Microsoft Edge, it would resolve X number of CVEs, for example. The next step we want to get into that is just give you the tools to make that patching easier. And then after that, once you're confident that Cork is providing you the right value, we can then start thinking, okay, let's see if we can automate this. So that's how Cork's sort of product cycle works. Information first and then action. And, I think Brandon would attest to that. It's, he's been here, almost a year at this point, and how the product has evolved, but that philosophy has sort of stayed the same.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that a little bit too and just say that like so much of our discussions around like what we're able to surface with this data revolves around how can MSPs use it, right? Like a lot of us come from the channel from different avenues, different vendors, different products. And so we have a pretty good idea of like, what we want to see, but that's why we're always looking for feedback as well. The vast majority of the features that are currently inside the platform have made it there because of people like you guys who have provided us feedback or just simply talked about how you're using the data or would like to use the data or what you would want to see consolidated with that. Because, like data is so powerful in so many different ways, and we're just trying to make sure that it's all organized for you guys and making sure that it's cohesive and, provides additional insight. And one of the things that has kind of come up too is like, what's the comparison between something like this and like security scorecard, right? And the big difference there between the two is like we actually don't consider ourselves like a competition to them, but rather complementary to them. We're two sides of the same coin. So security scorecard, BitSight, stuff like that, they actually look from the outside in, and we're looking from the inside out. So they are looking for attack vectors that are happening outside the environment, right? Is there weaknesses in the firewalls? Can people get inside things? Is information leaked, etc.? We're more looking at all the internal stuff. Is your EDR turned on? Do you have backup going for the machines that need it? Are those backups successful? Are there software vulnerabilities even on like machines that are under MDM that could potentially be vulnerable if they were ever taken off of MDM? So the approach is really it's pure information and then trying to categorize that information so that you guys can kind of make the best use of it, both in terms of just choosing software for your security stack to make sure that all of your avenues are covered, to making sure that if you guys have any compliances that you need to abide by, that you have more information regarding that. Like I personally worked very closely with a lot of SEC, FINRA, HIPAA, NIST, so like all that fun stuff. I did even a little bit of like Gov DoD stuff, so I'm pretty familiar with the struggles of those and the amount of information that those compliances can require. And that's always been our guiding philosophy with this, is that we are just trying to make sure that all of the information that's available across all of your different products and vendors is consolidated and easy for you guys to understand because these products are very good. They can get very complicated, and we want to kind of simplify that as much as possible for you guys. So let's see here. I think,
I have a question,
yeah.
maybe something you can talk a little bit about. How would our partners be able to use this score when talking with their clients, right? So right now, like you said, it's not currently on any reports. This is more for internal awareness. But if they wanted to use this to, during QBR or to kind of open up those conversations with their clients, how could they go about doing that?
The biggest thing here is the presentation of that info, right? So you can go to a client and you can explain to them all the different remediations that you've done. You can explain to them all the different tools that are on the products. And some of our built-in reporting like already shows that. We have like Venn diagrams and we kind of show data behind that and like what endpoint has what on there and what doesn't on there. We give percentages of like, an MSP was able to remediate most of the compliance events within 7 days, like 87% were resolved in 7 days. That's a lot of words, right? And this is just a way to represent all of that, everything that an MSP is doing from a holistic level in one number that bigger is better. And it's a max of 1,000. So the closer they get to 1,000 is good. So you can even, you could lead a QBR with that information and be like, hey guys, look what we're doing for you. This is our Cork score. This score represents the fact that we have all of the tools in all of the proper places, that we are taking care of your issues, and that all of your software vulnerabilities are also patched and remediated. So it just simple. Our goal for this is to simplify the talk track, not only internally to get an idea of what that posture looks like, but also when presenting to customers and wanting to prove value and worth to customers as well. And that's part of the reason why Marcus and his team also included those graphs, which, it kind of shows changes over time, is to show the overall progress of the platform as issues get remediated, as tools get connected, and really the sky's the limit with this kind of thing. We're really looking forward to seeing like how partners use this because so much of our direction is influenced by that. Partners using this in ways that we never even thought of that, we're curious to see, and then we implement them into the platform. So best practices use of Cork. Someone new to Cork here. Yeah, I think we have some documents that we can link you to.
Yeah,
Um,
James asked basically, do we have any kind of document that's like a best practices or how to use Cork, especially if you're newer to our platform, our product. We definitely want to make sure that you're aware of all the features that it has and everything that you can take advantage of. So I think Brandon said he's gonna put a couple docs in there. If not, I'll take a look right after this. Like I said in the beginning, always our help.corkinc.com. I mean, there's hundreds of articles on there. A lot of them are just how to integrate. So I know that hundreds sounds a little scary, but a lot of those are just our integration connection documents. But I'll go ahead and link some of the more, features of within the platform and how to use those. And then, of course, we'll have these feature release webinars first Wednesday of every month. We also have a newsletter that goes out. That was something new we started, or we had the newsletter in the past, but kind of an updated cadence on the newsletter that will go out the last week of every month as kind of a recap of all the features that came out, just a quick easy scannable read of, what did I miss? Anything I can click into, read a little bit more about. So keep an eye out for those. Those will come from me as well.
and James, what I'll say too is if you want to reach out to your rep here, we'd love to set up a call with you and kind of talk through it more, just so that you're more comfortable using the platform in terms of your business, right? One of the things that I have discovered since coming on board here is that the data that we're pulling is the same across all the partners, and all partners use that data in different ways. So what we like to do is get on these calls, kind of discover what your verticals are, what your business is, what your challenges are, how we can complement that, things that we can include in our platform to complement that. It's a far more personal experience than I kind of imagined just from like scraping data with APIs. And it's actually made it really, really interesting because it's led to so much innovation inside the space. So yeah, we'd love to connect and kind of do some more stuff with you to figure out what's going on. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just want to make an emphasis that we really value feedback. Whether you've been a partner with us for years or if you've just joined in the last month, like we want to tailor Cork to the best experience for all MSPs. A lot of us have deep roots in the MSP space. Myself, I've been in the space for 15 years. My team is stacked with a bunch of engineers who have also been in the MSP space for a while. So, you know, while we think we know what you want, there's probably another use case you might want out of Cork. So always send us feedback. We're really quick to iterate, especially with new product releases. So, this is where it goes back to our life cycle, information up front. In that interim phase, we gather that feedback, try to make it better before we do any action on top of it.
Cool.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, looks like we got one more question from Thomas. For identifying and auto-matching endpoints, is Cork planning on adding serial numbers to more accurately match these devices?
I can answer
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to
that.
say, so Marcus, I'll let you take that.
Yeah, yes, Thomas, that is something we're looking at. Currently, we've been basing it off on host name and local IP, but to your point, there are other identifiers to a device that would assist in making the mapping a little bit better, which includes serial numbers, MAC addresses, things like that. So I have one of our engineers is currently working on an improved mapping process. Hopefully, we'll have something, in the next few weeks to improve on that, and it'll be retroactive as well. So anything that might have been missed in the past will be updated with the enhanced mapping over time.
Yeah, this will be a silent but major upgrade to the platform. And I've been working with that engineer as well. This is like literally one of his biggest tasks right now. So he's dedicating a lot of time to it. Within that task as well, both from an engineering and a sales perspective, we've taken partner feedback about the things that they would like to see matched and just how to go about like weird odd case scenarios where devices get repurposed or remerged or decommissioned, but then come back later because they got, upgraded or things like that. There's a lot of scenarios that can cause things to unmatch. And we've taken our time with this because we want to be sure that we are accommodating for all of those different scenarios so that our success rate goes from something like 70% to 95%. So yeah, definitely more to come on that. Public
And I
facing.
just want to add in quickly that if you do, excuse me, ever have any feedback that you want to share, something that, you'd like to see in the platform, or on the same note, just a question for our support team, we do have the ability to submit a support ticket from directly within the platform. I always like to make sure everyone knows about that. So if you click the flag icon in the platform on the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll be able to submit that ticket from directly within the platform. You can add a screenshot, describe your issue or describe the feature that you'd like to see, and that goes directly to our support team, which is Marcus and his team. They are really, really helpful. They are pretty quick at responding and would love to hear from you and help you out.
Cool. And I see, James, another question about a public facing roadmap. Honestly, no, because our dev team moves too fast. You can blame Marcus for that. So we have very high level goals that we want to achieve, but to give you an idea, we integrated over like 35 products last year. And that was just integrations. That wasn't including all the different features that we kind of roped in, which was like an enhancement of the like cyber insurance analyzer, the software vulnerabilities, a remap or a rework of a lot of the UI features, a lot of quality of life features. Like it the roadmap would actually slow us down a little bit. So we're trying to pump out features and improvements as fast as we can, and then have kind of like high level goals that we kind of chase after. So
Yeah, and we don't develop in secrecy either. So like if you come to us with a question and we're already working on it, we'll probably tell you flat out that yeah, it's coming, we're working on it right now. So never hurts to ask. We're really transparent as much as we can be. But like Brandon said, like we added so many integrations last year. We included the SaaS backup controls category that was net new. This year we're hoping to add networking, PAM, web filtering categories as well to start expanding the types of controls that we cover. We started with the bread and butter, the RMMs and the EDRs and the backups of the world, but the MSP ecosystem is evolving. We want to try to stay in front of it as best as we can. So, we're always trying to think of what's next. So, and, and to your point about Blackpoint Cyber, I was told the API is going to be out today. I have to follow up on that.
What timing?
that's yeah, I was like, that's good time.
So, but to that point, we're really quick on developing integrations as well. So, if you want to help us out, we're happy to accelerate or prioritize some integrations quicker if we have your support.
Sweet.
Yeah. On that note, I believe the new integration we added last month was USecure, a security awareness training. Is that right? USecure, that's what it's called? Yeah. So that was our new tool we integrated last month. Like Marcus and Brandon said, we're constantly adding new tools. If you're using something that we don't currently integrate with, let us know. If it's possible to build out that integration, we want to do that for you to make the platform as inclusive and vendor agnostic as possible. So you can always, submit that via ticket. You can also select, I don't see my tool within that category of the platform on the integrations tab, and that will alert us to say, hey, we have a partner using this tool. Can we build out an integration, or, can we figure out a way to support that?
I'm going to post in the chat here too the generic link to all of our release notes. So you can always check there, not only for kind of like all the integrations and features that we do, but also bug fixes, right? We don't normally make like public announcements about those, but if something particular in there has been affecting you, always check that to see if it's been remediated or not. But yeah, keep an eye on those because we do update that fairly frequently. So cool. Does anybody have any other questions that they would like to ask? We do have a little bit of time here, so I just want to make sure that everybody has all of their questions answered, or if there's any additional things you'd like to see in the platform, we could do that now. And if not, I think we could give everybody a little bit of time back.
Hmm. Are there any of I know within the 26.1 release, we had a few like platform improvements, obviously the bug fixes, those were on the smaller end, but any of the improvements that we should touch on, anything major to let our partners know about?
Let's see. Some of it's a lot of smaller stuff, honestly. A lot of UI things, some bug fixes and stuff like that. We've been very focused on the core score and making sure all the waiting for that kind of makes sense. But some smaller ones where, for software vulnerabilities, dev team has included the ability to group vulnerabilities like by the CVE. There will be more grouping categories coming to software vulnerabilities as well. A little bit of development on how we handle email aliases, some different stuff with Ninja in particular, where we're now filtering out the MDM devices because it can give kind of like a different reading in terms of what is actually inside the platform. We've added in tooltip icons throughout the whole thing. So is this a meeting place to ask about bugs? Marcus, I'll actually leave that to you. Do you want them to get a ticket in with us, or would you want to address that here?
If it's widespread, sure, but if you think it's local to your environment, just send us a support ticket, and we're usually pretty quick to respond.
And then right above that, James asked, how long until an asset stops showing as a compliance issue? He remediated it a day or two ago.
It should. So if the compliance issue is like if we pull in that data and then the compliance issue is solved, it should only take 24 hours to clear. So we process compliance issues once a day around midnight, around 2 a.m. Eastern, I think is the official time. If you want to get a more up-to-date version of that, though, you can actually go into the platform and resync all to redo all of the integrations and pull the newest information that will also kind of refresh the compliance events. And actually, it's probably easier to just share those out and show you guys. So let me do this. There we go. And because this actually gets asked a lot, and the way that it would work is that if you update something, like you go into the platform to work on a particular category, right? You want to remediate the MFA and make sure it's turned on for everybody, or you have now installed EDR. If you want to see like the immediate update to that, you would hit resync all and then process compliance events. Or if you're only doing it for like a particular category or product, what you can also do is do it on an individual level. And that's actually what this refresh button does down here. So I would click refresh. It refreshes this particular connection. So this does not take as long as doing a full resync call. And then once that's done over here, I would then click this, and then that should update the compliance event to its latest status. So
All right. Any other questions or comments, feedback, anything we can help you with while you have us all here? I'll give you like a quick minute to throw any questions in. Like Brandon said, I think it was you, Brandon, that said that if you have, if you want to like take a deeper dive or you want to ask questions about your environment specifically, you can always reach out to your account manager if you're not sure who that is. Within the platform, there is a handshake icon on the top right that will give you your account manager's information, name and email. You can email them. You can also always reach out to Brandon or myself. Our emails, my email is just my first name at corkinc.com. I think Brandon, yours is B Smith, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but reach out to any of us. We're happy to help and get something set up if that makes sense for you. So we want to make sure that you're really comfortable using the product and, you know, aware of all the features and really how to use them and enable them to help out your MSP. So we thank you all for taking the time hanging out with us today. Like I said, these will continue the first Wednesday of every month. So look out for an email from me, about a week or so before with the registration link. And if you can't make it, I'd always say register anyways. And that way we know to send you a copy of the recording, or you can check out the recording on our YouTube as well. But that's all we have for you today. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all
Bye.
coming.